Thursday night live Q&A, almost like Wednesday night. My name is Tracy Matson. I am a certified professional dog trainer. And I'm just looking for my water. I think I left it outside. I might have to run and get it. So I'm a dog trainer, behavior consultant from Utah, and we decided to play around with some different days and times just to make it more accessible to more people. Hi, Willow. I haven't seen you in a long time. And then Willow, remind me where you're from, because I can't remember. I will enter you. Hi, Nicole. Oh, good. My regulars are still here. This was one thing I was worried about, was that I was going to lose all my regulars that I love on Wednesday nights. Iowa, that's right. And so I'm glad to see some of you guys here. And I have some of you, I already have drawing names for. So I'm going to put your names in the, okay, let's see, Nicole, I know I have one for you. I'm just putting your names in the dog bowl, and then Jade will pick one out. Hey, Key, where are you from? And then I can enter you into our drawing. You just have to be in the United States. So outside of the US or Canada, they don't ship to. So that's why I have to know where you're from. So welcome. They asked me to do like a training tip at the beginning while people are getting on. And so I've been in a workshop all day, well, for the past 3 days. So I'm trying to think of a good training tip for you. Key, you're in Canada. I love Canada. I mean, I've never been to Canada, but it's one place I really, really want to go. But unfortunately, they don't ship to Canada. So I was trying to think of a good training tip. One thing I can tell you that I've tried to start doing with my dog Jade is to kind of like the mindset when you go to train. Instead of like, oh, I gotta train my dog today, I don't want to, I'm too tired. But to make it fun and make like a game out of it. So for instance, if I'm on the computer and I try to do like 2 hours a week on the Pupford community, and so if I'm on the computer or I'm working or I'm doing training plans and my dogs want attention, hey Kathy, then sometimes I will play like a recall game with Jade that I can do really easily from just sitting. So what I do, I gotta get some more paper. What I do is I will have treats on me, and I will like throw one across the room or down the hall, and she goes and gets it. And as soon as she starts coming back to me for a different treat, then I click, and then she'll come get another treat, and then I'll throw another one. So we practice this recall game where she goes away, comes back, goes away, comes back. And then after a while, when she's coming back to me, then I'll add the COME word. So I'll throw a treat, she'll get the treat, and then she'll start to run back, and I'll say, come. And then while she's running, I click and then give her the treat. And so it's kind of like turning it into a game and making it really fun for her. So even though we're in the house and I'm working, I can still work with her and kind of do a game out of it. And that's worked really well. And then we start to do it like in the backyard. So make it a little bit harder just because there's distractions out there. I'll throw a little bit bigger treat just because we're in the yard and there's snow. So she's going to have to hunt for it a little more. But then as soon as she finds it and starts running back, I click and then bring her all the way up to me to get the treat and then reward her for that. So that's a little training tip on just something easy that you can do, at home. So, Kathy, Caitlin is in love with Charlotte. One of the trainers that works with me um, went to Kathy's house and worked with her bulldog, Charlotte, um, and just absolutely loved her, which Charlotte's amazing. Charlotte's adorable. So Key, just so you know, I love winter. I can handle cold weather. I can handle cold more than hot. And one of my clients, I was going over there to work with him, he and his dog, and we were in like, it was probably like 3 or 4 degrees, and this guy was out making kind of an igloo thing because they were going to have an outside party for New Year's, and they were going to have a fire, but they wanted kind of a wind block. And so he was building this igloo, and he says, "Oh yeah, I'm from Canada. This is nothing for me." And so yeah, he built this. My fan just batteries died. It's really hot in here. So yeah, he was from Canada, and it was nothing for him to be out there working in the snow. It was pretty cool. So, okay, let me go back and answer questions. Willow, sadly, Gertie is starting to get aggressive with my miniature dachshund, and I was wondering if you possibly knew how to fix it. Yes. So, a couple things I need to know are how old is Gertie? Because I can't remember. Is she spayed? And how old is your dachshund? So I need to know ages of both and whether they're intact or not. So whenever you start to have aggression issues, and I'm going to say like aggression behaviors, so that can be lunging, barking, growling, bullying, pinning down, attacking, like things like that. There's so many different factors that go into it. It could be genetics. Oh, and then give me breed again as well. Okay, so Gertie is 3 and spayed, and your dachshund is 2, and I'm assuming neutered. And then tell me what breed Gertie is. Then we have a dachshund. So, German Shepherd. Okay. So yes, one thing that we always have to look at is breed and genetics. So, you look at Gertie's parents, unless Gertie is a rescue. If Gertie's a rescue, a lot of times we don't know what the parents were like. So, if parents, or especially mom, was shy and fearful, then she can pass on those hormones to puppies. If she was aggressive or had like aggressive tendencies, then she can pass on those genetics to her puppies. She's also 3, so she is just hitting social maturity. So that's usually, sometimes we start to see aggression around 18 months, but a lot of times we see it when the dog hits social maturity, which for a larger dog is around 3 years old. So I would kind of expect to see that. And smaller dogs reach social maturity quicker because they mature faster. So your dachshund is probably getting there as well. So you've got 2 dogs that are both reaching that social maturity phase at the same time. So that could be an issue. Genetics could be an issue. One thing, and then also, Willow, if you could tell me, like in the chat, tell me what that looks like. So when you say is starting to get aggressive, like paint me a picture and tell me what that looks like. and then I can help you better. But while you're doing that, I'm going to answer. Oh, actually, I'm going to run and get my water, and I will be right back. You say, Jake. Okay. Sorry, I know I will not make it through this without water. So Jade, my little pocket pitty, is a resource guarder, and she can show a little bit of reactive tendencies or behaviors towards the other dogs. And I'll tell you what it looks like. So she'll eat her food, and then she'll go try to eat the other dog's food. And let's say, so my little foster dog, he makes a mess when he eats. And so Jade will go try to pick up like the stuff that Willie has scattered all over. So it's not even her food. But if one of the other dogs comes over and tries to get some of the food that Willie has scattered all over, Jade will snap at him. If Jade's on the couch with me, and a dog approaches the couch, sometimes Jade will growl at him. And if they don't back away, then she'll snap at him. So I've only ever had to break up like one dog fight, and it wasn't even that. It was like 2 seconds long. But my cousin's dog ran in the house, and I had 4 bowls of food, and he jumped on me, and I dropped the food, and it went everywhere. So Jade went for the first dog that was closest to her, and it happened to be Daphne. So she's very, what I would say, like food reactive. So mostly around food. She's not as much around toys. Like, she doesn't care. I mean, if she's chewing on a toy and a dog gets close to her, she might look at him and growl. And I do allow her to do that because that's appropriate. I mean, she's basically saying, this is mine, and I need you to back off. And then usually, at least all of my dogs at least back away. They're like, oh, okay, fine, it's yours. I'm not going to get near you. Now, sometimes when I have puppies staying at my house for board and train, I feel like, and I also know Jade well enough to know that when it comes to puppies, like, she's not going to attack them. So I do let her kind of teach them, like, if she kind of growls and they don't back away and get closer to the toy, then Jade's going to kind of like do a little like snap at him, which is appropriate. And then the puppy's like, oh, okay, sorry, I need to back away. So it teaches the puppies social skills, but it's appropriate, and the dogs like aren't getting attacked. Jade's not even touching them with her teeth. So, because I wouldn't let her do that. So to an extent, like, I let her teach the younger dogs what is appropriate and what's not appropriate. Just because I work with a lot of dogs that don't have social skills and will run right up to another dog and don't take social cues, and then you end up with a fight. So, but she, that's kind of what she does. Now, that being said, I know, so that's a trigger for her. Another trigger for her are tight spaces. So where the dog door is in the back, it's a little teeny hallway, and I have 4 dogs, and sometimes I have board and trains. So if everybody comes through the dog door at the same time, and there's a bunch of dogs right there, sometimes Jade will react, and she'll pretty much just kind of like snap at somebody. And then, like last night, coming down the stairs, if they're going single file, no problem. But if somebody's like right next to Jade, and if she feels like she's trapped or it's a tight space, sometimes she'll turn around and just kind of like growl or nip, like not even fight, but just like a little nip. So what I've started doing is managing. The first thing is always manage it. Yes, we are talking about you. So I manage it. I've started to feed Jade in the kitchen. behind a baby gate in a snuffle mat. So she has to eat slower. She's the first one to eat. Well, she's the last one to eat now, but she's the last one done because I put it in a snuffle mat. So she's getting enrichment, but at the same time, it's slowing her down, and she's behind a baby gate. And so then I feed the other dogs, and they don't all get to come back out together until they're all done eating. The other three I don't have to worry about. They respect each other's space and food. But I still stand there and just kind of supervise. I also supervise the back door. I supervise going up and down stairs. If I see like, them going up or down at the same time, I'll get Jade's attention. I might call her back to me so that the other dog can go down first and then have her go down. So I just kind of manage it that way. And I found that is the easiest for me with 4 dogs. But yeah, there are also like other things you can do. So I will, once I get down to your, the other stuff I asked you for, I'll see if I can answer it more specifically. But another thing you can do is like, so definitely manage first so that Gertie can't practice that behavior towards your dachshund. And then we want to change Gertie's emotional response. So as an example, if Gertie does something to the dachshund, you don't want to like punish her or reprimand her. And the analogy I like to use is when I was growing up, my brother and I did not get along, and it was my fault because I was kind of a bully. And so whenever we fought, I got in trouble. And so that just made me not like my brother more, because I'm like, I'm always getting in trouble because of him. And we are very close now. He's my best friend. We're really, really close now, but it took till high school. So we want to like be careful so that when Gertie is interacting with your dachshund, we don't want her to like hate the dachshund because she's always getting in trouble because of him. So what I like to do is what's called a positive interrupter. So let's say, and I have to do this with Jade too. It's like if she starts to escalate beyond just like a growl or snapping, which she usually doesn't, then I'll use an interrupter like, okay, enough. And it's just a happy, like I'm just interrupting what they're doing. And then I redirect. So it's like, okay, enough. Okay, let's go to our mat. You're going to go to your mat, or you're going to come to me. And so I interrupt and redirect. But it's got to be positive so that Gertie doesn't think I really hate my little brother because I'm always getting in trouble because of him. So that's another thing that you want to do. And Willow, if you email me and ask me for the positive interrupter handout, I'm happy to send it to you. My friend who's a trainer actually wrote it up, so it's on her letterhead, but she says I can share it. So you can use a word like all done, enough, stop, something like that, but then pair that word with treat. So it's kind of like when you charge a clicker and you go click, treat, so that the click equals treat. You're going to do the same thing with your positive interrupter. So it's like enough, treat, so that if you have to interrupt something and you say, Gertie, enough, she's like, oh, that means treat. Where's my treat? So you're just interrupting them and then redirecting to like, okay, go to your mat or do a downstay or, do something different. So email me. You probably still have my email, but I'll put it in the chat anyway. I'm happy to send that to you. Let's see. Oh, hey Karen, I have your thing already. Yes, I put up a reminder last night that we switched it to Thursday this week, and I think next week they're going to try 7:30 on Wednesday, which in all honesty is going to kill me because I go to bed early in the winter. But we're going to be doing different days and times just to make it more fair for like everybody to see if more people will take advantage of it. So I'm glad that you just jumped on. So I just put you in the whatever that is, the drawing. Okay, so let me go back. Okay, Willow, I started working with her on heel and loose leash as well as working on her basics outside in my yard. Yeah, and that's good. And the other thing that I would look at too is make sure that Gertie's, all of her needs are being met. And that means, does she feel safe? Is she getting physical exercise? Is she getting mental exercise? Is she allowed to do species specific behavior? And for German Shepherds, sometimes, like a lot of times they're working dogs and so they need a job. So like nose work. Most German Shepherds are really good at nose work. So feeding out of a snuffle mat or I don't know, honestly, I don't know if it snows. Does it snow in Iowa? I'm assuming it snows just about, well, maybe not California, but, well, some places in California. But you can take treats and throw them in the grass or the snow and say, go hunt. And so that's going to engage her nose, engage her brain, and dogs are natural foragers. So it allows her to do a normal dog behavior. So, freedom from pain, access to food, access to shelter, stuff like that. So that's the first thing we always want to look at is, are the dog's needs all being met? And then you're going to manage that environment. But let me scroll down and see. Okay, so Willow, so she's resource guarding me, my mom, and niece, and my room. She gets stiff and constantly stares at her like she's prey or something. Okay. Hey, Renee. I'm so glad you guys found me on Thursday. I just entered you, Renee. And is Brian coming? Because I have a thing here for Brian too. So that kind of goes with what Jade does. Jade's a resource guarder, and she guards me, and she guards the couch and the bed. And so I will tell you what I did. So I had to make it for Jade, and this will be easy to explain because I've done it with my own dog. If Jade's on the couch and another dog, comes up and Jade growls, then I say, oh, Jade, I'm so sorry. You got to get off the couch now. And so I make her get off. I let the other dog on, and then Jade can get back on. So that her growling at the dog makes it so she has to get off. And then for a while, when we went to bed, I would put Jade in a downstay. And then I would let the other two dogs up on the bed and then Jade up last. And then on the nights when, if Jade was on first and my other two dogs would sit there and like look at the bed like, do we dare get on or do we not? And I would just say, okay, Jade, you be a good girl, let them on. And I would watch her and kind of position myself so that I was a buffer between her and the other dogs. And then I would have Maddie needs stairs to get onto the bed, and Daphne can jump. And so I would just kind of be a buffer and invite the other two dogs up. But then when Jade allowed them up without growling, I praised the heck out of her. And it's like, oh, what a good girl. Thank you for sharing. You're such a good girl. And that praise and making a big deal out of it was so rewarding to her that she's like, oh my gosh, I'm the best dog ever. So, sometimes I do talk to my dogs as if they were humans, and I found out that I'm not a crazy dog person, but I just took an ethology class where they talked about that that's an actual thing, and it's good to do because dogs are going to react to your tone and, you know, and body language and things. Like, they don't necessarily know what you're saying, but they know your tone. So if Jade and I are on the couch and my little foster dog wants on, um, you know, Jade might give him an evil eye, but then I'll pick him up. He can't jump. So I pick him up and I'll put him on the other side of the couch to where Jade is. And I'll say, "Oh, Jade, good girl. Thanks for sharing. You're such a good girl." And so I really praise her for those times when she doesn't resource guard. Um, the other thing you can do is make it be really rewarding for Gertie when your other dog gets near you, your mom, your niece, your room. So I would set this up on leash, and maybe have Gertie in a safe place, tethered to a door or something on a mat, and then take your dachshund and kind of like say, go towards your mom. And then when Gertie just notices your dachshund going towards your mom and stays calm on the mat, you're going to click and treat Gertie. And then have the dachshund, like, you know, go towards your room, click and treat Gertie. So that it's like good things happen when you stay calm and allow the dachshund to approach niece, mom, your bedroom, you. So it changes her emotional response. So, and I would use a really high value treat. And this is honestly what I use the salmon and the rabbit for, the Pupford freeze dried, because I feel like for me, it's like a really, you know, A1 treat, or, you know, super high value. So, so I'll like set it up like that so that you have Gertie just notice, and but you want to make it safe. So make it so that you can control distances, so Gertie can't like run over and attack, but like Gertie's tethered to something and like on a mat or something like that. And so since you have 3 people, I would utilize all 3 people. So you're going to be by Gertie. Let's say your mom has your dachshund and walks the dachshund up to your niece. And when Gertie just notices that, you click and treat. And then your niece can walk the dachshund up to your mom. And when Gertie just notices, click and treat. And then have your mom stand by Gertie and have your niece walk the dachshund up to you or towards your bedroom. And then Gertie gets rewarded for being calm on the mat and just noticing that. Does that make sense? And if she's staring, I would even go so far as to do the engage, disengage. And when you email me, I can send you that as well if you don't have it. So where we're teaching Gertie to just notice and not react, the next step is to teach her to disengage and look at you instead. So it's like, let me get my 2 dogs out. Ugh. Okay. So let's say that this is Gertie and this is your dachshund. So when 2 dogs stare at each other, that can be a threat. So I will usually get in between and say, "Oh, you know, you guys aren't going to stare at each other," and then I'll like redirect them. That actually happened Tuesday night at our service dog class. One of the dogs in the class kind of like went after Jade, and then was just like staring her down. And so I put up a barrier so that that other dog like could not stare at her. So let's say that your dachshund is like walking towards me and Gertie like notices, but then like disengages and looks at you. So because you're doing the click and treat, every time Gertie notices the dachshund going close to your bedroom, it's like click treat. And then it'll get to the point where Gertie hears the click and will disengage. It's like, "Oh, I heard the click. Where's my treat?" And so then the next stage of that is Gertie noticing the dachshund going towards one of the triggers and then automatically turning his head or her head and disengaging and looking at you. And that's what you want to click and treat as well. So it's like just treating that auto check-in and looking and noticing and then checking in with you and getting rewarded for that instead of reacting. So, and then I would always manage distance around triggers, like around your mom, around your niece, bedroom, you, stuff like that. So I just know what Jade's triggers are, so I manage it pretty well. And it's worked out really well. But hopefully that answers your question and gives you some stuff to work on. And please email me, and I will make sure that I send you those handouts if you need them. Oh, and your dachshund is a female. I've been calling him a boy. Okay, recent one was Monday of this week. Hey, Erin. Yeah, so that's the other thing too, is we always want to, and if a dog is resource guarding certain things like bedroom or couch or bed, then I actually don't let the dog have access to that for a while. So it's like, yeah, I'm sorry, but if you're going to guard this item, you're not going to get it, or you get it second. So it's like your dachshund gets to come in first and then Gertie comes in, and you put the dachshund on the bed and then Gertie gets on the bed. As long as Gertie's going to be okay with your dachshund once she's on the bed. Like once the dogs are on the bed, I know Jade's fine. Like then she's not going to do anything. So hopefully that made sense. Erin, I've missed you. I haven't seen you in a while. Okay. Julian, you made it. And if I haven't seen you guys in a while, just tell me where you're from. Oops, I didn't give myself enough room. From Georgia. And Julie, I think you had a question from last week, right? Because I didn't get to see your for some reason your question and stuff didn't make it to me. Okay, let me put Barb in. Hi, Barb. Oh, there's a lot of you guys that I haven't seen in a while. South Dakota. I bet it is cold where you guys are right now. It's been really cold here, but I actually like the cold, so. Okay, let me go back and see if I skipped over anybody's questions, and then I will and yeah, Willow, one of the other things too is just working on basic cues is going to be good, because it's going to tire her out. Anything that's brain work, shaping games, teaching tricks, doing basic obedience, working on some like weights and stays, which will teach impulse control, like things like that are going to help. Let's see. Okay, Sue, I have a 5-month-old Havanese. She's biting her tail. Why does she do this? So there's a number of reasons why dogs can bite their tails. One can be boredom. So some dogs that bite their tails or chase their tail, it can be an anxiety thing and it can be a boredom thing. So if you were here for the earlier part, I would look and make sure that all of your dog's needs are being met. So plenty of physical exercise, mental exercise, like foraging. So go hunt, feeding in a snuffle mat. I'm a big fan of getting rid of your dog bowl and having your dog like work for their food. Now I can't do that with all my dogs because I have four, and I can't just throw four things of food out in the backyard because I have one dog that's on a diet. So, but I do that with Jade because she can be my little problem child sometimes. So with her, she does not get fed out of a bowl. She gets fed in a snuffle mat. And it went from 15 seconds to eating her food to 9 minutes now. The same amount of food. But she's looking through that snuffle mat for 9 minutes now. And it's wearing her out. It's giving her mental enrichment. So, just make sure that you're giving your dog mental enrichment too. And I think there are some physical and medical conditions that can cause a dog to chase their tail. I've seen dogs do it that maybe have like some dogs that have anal gland issues, like you'll see them like scooting along the carpet, but some dogs will like bite back there and bite their tail. So if it doesn't resolve, then I would like get your dog checked out by a vet. Sometimes I've read that there are some like OCD type behaviors that can happen with some dogs. And it's more of a mental thing with them. So I would just make sure that you're doing like a lot of mental enrichment. So snuffle mat, treat dispensing toys. So like the ones where you like roll the ball around and the food, they have to figure out how to get the food to come out. Like not puzzle toys. I like puzzle toys, but I feel like once the dog figures them out, then they're fast at it and it's not really that enriching because they just do it in like 2 seconds. But the ones where they have to roll it around and figure out how to get the food out, I think is very enriching because it's problem solving. And anything that engages the brain is going to release the dopamine in the brain, and it's going to tire them out as well. And then they're not going to have as much anxiety or like boredom to want to chase her tail. If it continues, your vet may have to do some kind of like anti-anxiety medication. I don't know. You'd have to talk to your vet about that. But sometimes for OCD type behaviors, we do have to do medication. And then one thing that you can do is every time you catch her biting her tail, interrupt and redirect. So do the positive interrupter. So like she's really not doing anything wrong. There's a reason that she's doing it, but just say like, oh, okay, enough. Let's not do that anymore. Here, let's do this instead. And here's a stuffed Kong, or here's a bully stick, or here's a snuffle mat, or here's something else you can do other than biting your tail. And then enrich her that way and teach her that instead of doing this, I want you to do this. And this is going to be more fun and more reinforcing than this. So let me know if that makes sense. And also, Sue, if you want to tell me where you're from, I will enter you in the drawing as well. Willow, she's not really a fan of treats. Well, that could be an issue as well. So what do you use for reinforcer for your dog? So yeah, if she's not treat motivated, then you have to find something else. So I have a dog in my puppy class who is not treat motivated, but loves a tennis ball. So instead of using a treat, every time the dog did something, they would throw the ball up in the air and let the dog catch the ball in his mouth. So sometimes we have to find something that the dog is willing to work for. And have you tried things like bacon, hot dogs, cheese, boiled chicken? Like sometimes we have to play around with things. I live in a small town up in the mountains, which is why I I like the cold because I'm used to it up here. But we have a little smokehouse and they sell like the best beef jerky. But I mean, I've been vegetarian for 10 years now, but I still go in. Last time I went in, there was somebody I knew in there and he goes, I thought you're vegetarian. I'm like, well, I am. This is for the dogs and I use it for training. But if I'm doing harder stuff like leave it or recall up in the mountains where there's rabbits and squirrels and deer and all of these distractions, I want to use something higher value. And since they don't get beef jerky a lot, they get it for training. So it's like, oh, I really want to go chase that skunk, but mom has beef jerky, so we're going to go back to mom. So sometimes you have to do what we call a preference test, which just means that we put out different things and see what the dog likes. So, I've got a friend whose two Malamutes are not food motivated at all. But when they came to class, they actually had to do steak. So they brought up little pieces of steak. That's all their dog, because their dogs just wanted to go chase rabbits. So sometimes we have to do a preference test. I had a German Shepherd that was a search and rescue dog, and his prey drive was so high that he would do anything for a ball. And a game of tug. So whenever he would do something, out came the ball, or it was a ball and a rope, and I'd play tug with him, and that was his reward. So you might have to do something like that too, where, when he does something good, a toy pops out and he gets to play tug or gets to play with the toy. So sometimes we have to improvise. So yeah, did you guys see my post where I said that I just want to make sure that people are seeing it. So they asked if I would do like some lives different days and times just to allow more people access. And so that's why I put up 2 posts just saying that this week's Q&A would be Thursday at 4:30. So I was hoping that you guys would see that and know that I was going to be on. And I think next week it's actually going to be Wednesday at 7:30, which again is going to kill me because I go to bed early, but I'll live. So I'm glad you guys made it tonight. Oh, Brian, I need to put you in the drawing. Okay. Brian dropped a pill in a shag carpet. Took me half hour for us to find it. Yes, I agree. That can be hard. I dropped a whole bottle of Excedrin once. Luckily, it wasn't in carpet, but my dogs thought it was like Skittles, and they all came running, and I just said, leave it, and they stopped, and they stared. Now, I'm not worried that they would take it, because if you've ever had Excedrin without water, it's really bitter and nasty, so they wouldn't have chewed it, but it was still a good leave it practice. And they did stop and they stared at it, and I cleaned it all up, and then they got the best treats ever and tons of praise. And it's like, oh, you guys are the best dogs. Thank you so much. Here's your treat. You get this for not eating my Excedrin. But yeah, depending on what the medication is, I mean, some medication can be really harmful for dogs, and in shag, it can be even harder. So I'm glad you found it, so that your dog didn't get it. I'm glad you made it. Willow, I have to use the Pupford jerky. That's perfect. I mean, I use the jerky. I use the salmon jerky a lot. I'll use the turbo tendons and cut them up into little pieces, or I use the big pieces for a long chew item. So yeah, if that works, perfect. Just use that, because that I would consider that a high value treat as well. Aaron, oh, Sue, you're from Canada too. You and Key both. Yeah, they won't ship to Canada, so it has to be in the States. But I'm still glad you joined us. Okay, so Aaron, I'm going to explain to you how to do your dog's nails. just because we have time. I'm going to write Monica. Hi, Monica. I'm going to write Monica's name down and enter her. Monica, have you been here before? I think your name looks familiar, but I'm not sure. South Carolina. Boy, Jade's going to have a lot of... So for those of you that aren't usually here on Wednesdays, I've taught my dog to pick a name out of the bowl. So she actually picks the name. Danny from South Australia. That's awesome. Wow, I'm glad you're here. Okay. So I don't have a pair of clippers here, Erin, but I'm going to show you what I do. And I'm actually going to turn my camera onto Jade. And so I'm going to show you guys how to start a nail trim. Can you guys see her, Jade? Come here. I want you to be able to see. So let me angle this. Geez, it's almost closed. Let me see if I can put it on the ground. Oh, that works. Okay. So my lip gloss is going to be the nail clippers, and then I have Pupford treats. So it can be easier if you have your dog lay on a bed and like have their front legs going over the bed, but you don't have to. So basically what I'm going to do is whoops, I just dropped one, so that was a freebie. Is I'm going to bring the clippers out. That equals a treat, and then they both go behind my back. So the clippers predict the treat, and then they both go behind my back. Clippers, treat, behind my back. And then if she smells it, she's fine with it, treat. Then I'm going to bring it out and touch her paw with it, treat. Let's see if I can angle this down. This is hard to do when you've got like cameras and stuff. Okay, so now this goes out. There, oh, right there, Jade. That's perfect spot. Plus. So I'm going to touch her foot, treat. Touch her foot, treat. If she were to pull her foot away, I would let her. And I would let her pull away and then just say, oh, okay, you need a break? Okay, you can take a break. And then I'd say, do you want to try again? And I'm going to touch her other foot. And then I'm going to actually touch her nail. So I'm taking the gloss and just touching her nail with it. She picks stuff up, so I think she thinks I want her to pick it up. And then I'm going to do something where I take a foot, touch her nail, treat. Pick up her foot, nail, treat. And we are going to keep doing that until I can clip her nails. I can actually clip all my dog's nails. So I go really slow, and I always go at the dog's pace. So I'm sure that Pupford probably has a training video out there, a post on how to do nails. If they don't, Erin, if you email me, I can send you a video on how to do it. And I think we actually did an Instagram post on my company's Instagram that shows how to do nails as well. And I even use the Dremel. So I clip the tips first, and then I Dremel them. And I do the same thing. So like I'll just turn on the Dremel, treat, turn it off, and then no treats. And then turn it on. And I do that. And then I touch the paws without turning on the Dremel before I Dremel their feet. So I just go really slow. I allow them to back away if they want. And then when they know that, okay, I can take a break if I want to, and then they want the treat, so they come back. And then when they come back, we try again. The other thing that I have found that really, really helps is a Licky Mat. So I don't have one here. They're all at home. But I will use a Lick Mat. I use the Lick Mat for nails. So when I am cutting or dremeling, I'll give the dogs a Lick Mat of peanut butter that I have frozen. And so this one's on our Instagram thing as well. And I'm sure Pupford has one. But anyway, they're licking the peanut butter from the mat, and they don't even care that I'm dremeling their nails. And then if they stop looking and look over like, what are you doing? Then I stop. And I'm like, okay, if you need a break, we'll take a break. And then when they go back to licking the mat again, then I go back to dremeling and clipping. So I have one dog that doesn't like her nails done. And so it does take me a little bit longer with her because I do it slowly and I let her take a lot of breaks. But like Jade and Maddie, I can just do them easily. So I started to do that because I had a dog. He just passed away. But he was a nightmare to do his nails. He would bite. I mean, he'd been really abused, so he didn't like to be handled. But just trying to do his nails, eardrops, anything like that, it was a nightmare. And it was so stressful for him and so stressful for myself. So I started to learn low stress handling, cooperative care. So like I'll even teach like, give me paw. And then when they give me the paw, then I'll treat and then we'll like just touch nails. Another thing I'll do is, this is just the cap of my water, but I'll even take my finger and like flick their nail with my nail, just so that they kind of get the feeling of what it feels like. So I go through a lot of steps, but then once they know it and they know it's not going to hurt, I am really conservative. So I cut just the tip, and I want to make sure that I don't quick my dog, because once you quick them and it hurts, then they're not so easily, it's not so easy for them to decide, yeah, you can clip my nails anytime. So I'm conservative and I go a little bit, and then because you can always take more off. That's one reason I use the Dremel as well, because you can actually get them shorter and rounded without worrying about quicking them. So I'll cut the tips off, and then I'll use the Dremel and round it. So hang on just a second. So yeah, that's why I like to do the Dremel. Okay. Oh, Nicole, good. You saw my post, but Karen didn't. I did one Tuesday or Wednesday morning, and then Wednesday about 20 to 6, I did another post that would be right up at the top that said just to remember doing it tomorrow. But yeah, just look for the post, because we're going to start changing the days and times. But I do know that next Wednesday it's going to be 7:30 on Wednesday, Mountain Time. Okay. But Karen, I'm glad you made it tonight. Okay, Willow, she's not all that energetic and doesn't really play with toys. All she wants to do is chew and lay down. Is it a trust issue? I've had her about 3 months now. Yeah, it could be. I mean, I would expect a 3-year-old German Shepherd to be pretty active. When's the last time you've had her to the vet? Like, have you ruled out any medical, anything medically as to why she's not energetic? And not all dogs love to play with toys. My German Shepherd just was, that's why he made a good search and rescue dog, because he would he would search and track for hours just because he knew that when he made a find that Kong was going to come out and he was going to get to play tug and play with the toy. But yes, it sometimes takes a while for new dogs to settle in and learn to trust you. The other thing I would do, Willow, is, and you're probably already doing this, get her on a schedule and get her to be able to have recognizable patterns and routines in her life, so that she knows first thing in the morning we're going to go potty, and then mom's going to feed me, and then we're going to do a 10-minute training session, and then I'm going to get a snuffle mat or a lick mat, and then I'm going to take a nap in the crate, and then when I wake up from my nap I'm going to go out and go potty, and then we're going to do some enrichment, and then we're going to go for a walk, and then we're going to do this and this and this and this. So it's just like this predictability that and especially when you have a rescue dog who's already 3 and you've only had her 3 months, they need to be able to count on patterns and know that, okay, I am going to go potty, I'm going to get fed, I'm safe, I'm going to get to sleep, I get food, I get, like, they have to be able to predict those things and be able to count on those things. And the more patterns that you can get your dog into, the more that it's going to create that trust, and then the better off she is going to be. So, yeah, her reactivity right now could just be lack of self-confidence, things like that. And we don't know her history. So we don't know if, if she was a street dog and had to fight for food, or if other dogs tried to like take her sleeping spot away from her or her food or things like that, then she's going to automatically resource guard. So yeah, that's the thing I would do first and foremost is get her on a schedule, make it predictable, set her up with these patterns so that she can learn to count on that. And I think it's going to help a lot. Okay. Oh, yeah, Monica, I thought your name was familiar, but I have an over 50 brain, so I can't remember stuff. Okay, so Willow, you are going to ask for the positive interrupter and then ask for engage, disengage. And I will send those to you. Karen, I did use plots. Good catch. So my first German Shepherd was a search and rescue dog, and he actually came from Canada. You Canadians, he came from Canada. He was a cop dog flunky because he wouldn't hold a bite, but he had such an incredible prey drive that they sold him as a search and rescue dog, which happens commonly if dogs have a really high drive, but they won't hold a bite, they make great search and rescue dogs. So I got this amazing 2-year-old German Shepherd for a fraction of what he would have cost. And we did search and rescue, but he came trained in German, and it's pretty common for police and search and rescue to train their dogs in different languages, just because we don't want other people giving our dogs cues. And since all my dogs have overlapped, I've just always kept German. And the other reason I like it is because I go into people's houses and the dog jumps on me and they'll say, down. And I'm like, okay, but it's off, because down means lay down. And they'll say, come here. Or they'll say, sit down. And sit and down are two different things. Come and here are two different things. And so I just get irritated when people tell my dogs the wrong cue. And so I've always done it in German. All my dogs are trained in German. So yeah, there's a few like touch and watch me. Things that aren't really super common that other people will use, I do in English. But most most of their cues are in German. Julie, I have to reintroduce the nail clippers to Dakota because she doesn't let me do it anymore. So another thing that you guys can do is a thing called a scratch board. And I started to do this with Piglet, and then he passed away. So what you do is you get like a piece of plywood or board or something, and you put sandpaper on it, and you can like nail it down or staple gun it, and then teach your dog. So what I do is like I'll get a treat and I'll just like kind of tease the dog on the sandpaper, and I'll get the dog to like paw at it to get my hand to stop. And as soon as they paw, I click and treat. But if you can get your dog to paw at the sandpaper, then you can actually teach them how to file their own nails. Doing the back feet is a little bit harder. I'm sure there's a YouTube video. In fact, I know there is. There are YouTube videos on how to make and use a scratch board for dogs to do their nails. So you can actually shape that behavior and you can teach your dog how to file their own nails. Also, the more walks you do on asphalt, sidewalk, stuff like that, it will automatically trim them. So some people that are super active and go running with their dogs or lots of walks, they don't really need to trim their dog's nails just because they're always trim. So oh yeah, I did use plots. Okay, so I use the Pupford training treats. How many can I give my puppy per day? Well, they're only 1 calorie. And I'm not sure. That would probably be a better question for your vet. What I do, I would think that, for a 7-pound, like not a ton, but I have 4 pit bulls, and Jade is one of the smallest ones. The only one that's smaller than Jade is Willie. But I don't really feed them a ton of food. They do get meals because, again, I want them to know that they have a predictable meal. Jade actually loves mealtime now because she gets the snuffle mat and she loves it. But I only give them like 3/4 of a cup twice a day because I know that during the day they're going to be earning treats. And I also do this thing where I catch them doing things that I like and I reward them. So like if I'm working and the dogs are chilling on their mat, I might say, "Oh, good settle, guys. Give them a treat." If Jade's on the couch and Daphne jumps on the couch and Jade doesn't growl at her, I'm like, "Oh, Jade, good job. Thanks for sharing. Treat." So they earn treats through the day. So that's why I feed them less food. So yeah, and I would think for 7 pounds, you wouldn't be able to do a ton. The other thing that I do though for small dogs, and I do this a lot with puppies, is the Pupford training treats. The other reason I love them is that you can break them in half. So if you get a longer one, some of them in there are longer, and you can literally like just break them in half with your fingers. So then they last longer. And for a little 7-pound dog, you don't need a big treat. You just need something really tiny. So you go. So Erin, a little bit each day for the training or a longer session. I just do a little bit each day. Like we'll do, so when I worked in rescue, we had some feral dogs that had never had a collar on. And I didn't want to like force them in a corner where they were going to shut down. I mean, we could have done that. We could have gotten a collar on them the first day, but they would have been terrified. So every single day that I worked, and on the days that I didn't work, the staff was supposed to do it, but we did that same thing where collar predicts treat. Collar predicts treat. Then I would put the collar like over my hand, give treats. And then I would, so this is my phone holder. We're just going to pretend like it's a collar. Then I would start to lure them through the collar so that they were putting their head through. And we would maybe do that 5 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day. So it doesn't have to be a lot. You don't want your dog to get bored, and you want to end on a good note when they're doing it and they're getting treats and they're like, oh, this is so much fun, I don't want to end. That's when you want to end. So that then when you do it again, like after work or before bedtime, they're like, oh, we get to play that fun game again. And you actually want to look for them wagging their tail when they see whether you're working with changing emotional response about another dog or about the nail clippers or the Dremel or anything. It's like when it comes out, we want to see a tail wag. Like, oh, yay, that's coming out. That means I get treats. That's what we want to see. And you can do that with just, it depends on the age of the dog and it depends on their learning history and things like that. But yeah, like 5 minutes twice a day, you could do. Nicole, I've been thinking of adding a start button to our nail trims, but was curious how they learned that with the start button. They have the ability to say no. Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question. So an example, I'm going to give you 2 examples. There is a thing called the bucket game, and it's on YouTube, and it's by Chirag Patel. I'll put his name in. And this teaches a stop and a go signal. So you actually have a cup of treats. And when the dog looks at the cup, you give them a treat. When they look at the cup, you give them a treat. And then you move the cup down until you get to the floor. And then you start like reaching around, touching an ear. And as long as they're looking at the cup, then that means go. And if they look away like, oh, what are you doing? Then you just stop. And then when they look back at the cup again, that means go. So you can do that. And so looking at the treats is the go. And if they look away from the treats, that is stop. I do kind of the same thing, only I use the Licky Mat. So I'll put the Licky Mat down, and as long as the dog is licking, to me, that means go. So I can put drops in their ears. I can Dremel their nails. I can cut their nails. As soon as they stop licking, like, oh, I don't like that. What are you doing? Then I stop. It's like, okay, we'll take a break. And then when they go back to licking again, that means go. And then I start again. So look up the bucket game on YouTube. That's how there's different ones you can do too. You can teach them how to use a bucket. Sometimes you could use like a Frisbee and have them look at a Frisbee or step on a Frisbee or something like that. So there's different ways that you can do it. You could also do a chin rest. So teaching your dog to rest their chin on your hand means go. And then when they lift up their chin and move their head, that means stop. I feel like it's harder because then you need your hand, unless you had 2 people doing it. But if it's just you, it's too hard to have them, you do your hand while you're trying to do nail trims or things like that. But Chirag actually shows like how to do eye drops, how to do ear drops. And then there's the one with the nails too. So look up the bucket game. It's amazing. It works. And it's super fun. Like I've had fun teaching it to my dogs. So yeah, let's see. Let me go back and see what I missed. Yeah, so Nicole, you'll love that. I have found better luck with the Licky Mat, and the only reason I have done the bucket game with some clients' dogs. I sort of on accident stumbled across the Licky Mat when we were filming the nail trim thing with Maddie. And so I thought, oh, hey, we have a Licky Mat. Let's just have her do the Licky Mat. And the whole time she was licking, I would go. And then when she'd stop and look at me, I'd stop. So I kind of started doing that because I thought, oh, this is actually pretty easy. So So yeah, Karen, some people have trained their dogs in Russian, French. Um, when I was doing search and rescue, there was actually a cadaver dog that was trained in Czech, so like Czechoslovakian. Cannot remember any of those words, but yeah, I actually really like doing another language because that is my pet peeve. Like Monica saying, when people say down, when they should mean off. Like get off is so much different than down. And then if somebody says down and then they don't go all the way down, then they're learning to ignore down. Then they don't know what down means. Um, and again, like just like what Karen said, if your husband or your spouse uses different words than what you use, then your dog's just going to get confused. So that's why I've always just overlapped my dogs. Once the first one came in German, I've just kept that and had it. So I got to tell you, I had a client. He was on the spectrum, and we were trying to train a service dog for him, but he would literally have a different service dog every single week, and it started to get super annoying. But he would either say, well, I can't bond with this dog, or this dog isn't listening, so I'm going to get rid of him and get another one. And his dad had lots of money, so his dad just kept getting him dogs. And I actually kind of fired them as clients. I said, I can't do this anymore. But every single week when he would come with a different dog, he would want to do it in a different language. So we actually did German, we did Spanish, we did French, and we did Russian. And when we started doing Russian, I said, I'm out. I can't pronounce half these words. I don't know how to spell them. My parents actually lived in Russia for 2 years, two different times, and it's such a hard language. The only thing that I know is da and splasiva, and I know I didn't even say that right. So I'm like, yeah, I cannot teach your dog how to do Russian. So, but yeah, you can teach your dog in any language, and then it actually helps your dog pay attention to you and not listen to the other people that are going to screw up your dog, because it's my pet peeve too. Let's see, Nicole, that sounds more like a choice. I had seen it with a touch cue. Yes, so my dogs have a really good touch cue, and my touch is like just my hand out, so like that. The target, I have more of a cupped hand, and I'll say chin, and I'll lure them like across into my hand. And so instead of this for target, it's this for chin. I've had a harder time getting Jade to rest her head rest her chin in my hand and leave it there. Plus, since I'm usually by myself, I need both hands to do their nails. So that's why I haven't used the chin rest, but I have a friend who has, and her dogs are really good at it. But I would rather have both my hands. So that's why I like the Licky Mat or the looking at the cup of treats. So I think you'll like the bucket game on YouTube, because they actually they'll write out the steps for you as well. And there's different levels. So it really gradually gets harder and harder and harder until, which is good for the dog, because then it's very gradual and the dog learns how to do it like at their own pace. So it's super effective. Karen, I agree. I gave up on that aspect. I actually had a spouse and I couldn't train him, so I got rid of him. No, we're actually still friends, but yeah, it's actually kind of funny. Some houses that I go into, it's really hilarious when the husbands and wives fight in front of me, and depending on who they are and what kind of relationship I have, either I keep my mouth shut or sometimes I'll say, oh my gosh, you guys remind me of my parents. Because my parents, like very happily married, would like bicker sometimes, like how old people do, they bicker. And so I will make a comment like, okay, guys, I'm going to charge you more for marriage counseling or something like that. But, and I'll actually tell you something funny. The very first, let me see if I have the book here. The very first dog training book that I read, do I have it here? I could have sworn. Maybe it's home. It's called Don't Shoot the Dog by Karen Pryor. And if you read the preface, she's a PhD, and she says the principles in this book can be used on spouses, children, neighbors, bosses. And I had to laugh, and I thought, I should have read this when I was married, but I still think we would have had the same outcome. But yes, it's all about rewarding good behavior, because then it's going to continue. So I have tried that where I really hope he's not listening. I don't think he tunes into this, but I had a family member live with me for a while, and it was so hard because I'm used to living by myself. And this does fit in with dog training, so that's why I'm telling you. But I'm, I like my house a certain way. I'm not like a total OCD neat freak, but I am like, I like things clean and put away and stuff like that. And he was just the opposite of that. So I would try, like when he would actually do dishes, be like, oh, thank you for doing the dishes. That is so cool of you. Thank you. And I tried rewarding him and noticing and praising, thinking that if he saw how much I appreciated it, he would do it more. Didn't work. Instead, I had to like keep reminding him, hey, it's your turn to do dishes, or it's your turn to clean this, or you got to do this. So I'm not going to say that it works on everybody, but theoretically speaking, it's supposed to work on. So Karen, the name, I've read it twice. It's really good. Don't Shoot the Dog. Super good book. Brian, since it's getting muddy, was wondering how to clean Peyton's paws. Did you ever hear of a mud blaster? I didn't. What I do, since we have a dog door and it gets really, really muddy, so we're still in snow season though, so we won't have mud till like April or May. But when the dogs come in, like I'll shut the dog door so that they can't just come in and out. Otherwise, I have mud all through the house. And then when they come in, I just kind of use wet wipes. I have seen those cubes, and maybe this is what you're talking about on Amazon. They have the cubes where you just like put your dog's paw in it, and then when it comes out, like it takes all the dirty water, and then the paw's clean, and then you dry the paw. I've heard of those, and I heard they're really effective, but I don't have any firsthand experience. So I'm not sure. But I do use like wet wipes. I just bought some oatmeal like cleaning wipes for dogs, just because my foster dog, he's incontinent, and so he pees on himself a lot. And so I don't want to bathe him every single day. So I'll just take the little oatmeal wipes and give him like a sponge bath. And I have to do lots of bum baths with him. So I use those, and you could easily use those for their feet too, like just wipe them off like you normally would. If your dog doesn't like their feet touched, then you could do the same thing where you like condition them to that just like you would the clippers or the Dremel. Do the same kind of thing. Or put a lick mat down, have them lick the mat while you're cleaning the paws so that something really fun is happening while they're getting their paws cleaned. And yeah, you could totally do that. If you do get the mud blaster, see, Erin says that she has it and it works well. So yeah, you'll have to tell us how it works. My problem is I have 4 dogs, so if I open the dog door and get one in while I'm cleaning one, 3 others would run in. Either way, I kind of corral them into the bathroom where it's tile, and I clean their feet and then let them have run of the house. Or I invite one in at a time, clean their feet, and then they can have run of the house. Luckily, I don't have carpet downstairs for a reason, so I can just mop it up pretty easy. Okay, Willow. When in training Gertie, Daisy comes and the other way around, but sometimes I forget to say the dog's name and then the command. I know that is my fault. Is there a way to fix this? I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. So when you're training Gertie, Daisy comes, and when you're training Daisy, Gertie comes. Is that what you're saying? So if you forget to say the dog's name and they hear come, then the one that comes, I would reward them. And vice versa. So if you don't say Daisy's name and you say come and Gertie comes, then I would reward her because she heard come and she came. But then I wouldn't reward Daisy because Daisy didn't come. Now, that being said, I always start with recall on leash. So I always want to teach it on leash first, just so that I can reel the dog in and reinforce it. So if I say like, Jade, come, and she's still sniffing and doesn't, then I'll like kind of run backwards and reel her in. Let's go, what a good girl. And I make it super fun, but I'm reeling her in with the leash so that I can reinforce that come, give her the really good treat. And then I usually say, okay, go play. And then she can go play again. So in her mind, it's like I come, I get a treat, and then I get to go play again. So, yeah. And a lot of that is just kind of saying, just kind of conditioning yourself just to say their name. Once they get a little bit more advanced, what's fun, and I've started to do this with my dogs, is I'll say Daphne Blythe, which is stay. I'll say Daphne Blythe, Maddie Blythe, Jade Coleman. And so I'll tell 2 to stay and Jade to come. And if they do, they all 3 get rewarded. These 2 get rewarded for staying, Jade gets rewarded for coming. So, and then I'll switch it up. So I'll tell Jade and Maddie to stay and Daphne to come, and then they all get rewarded. But that also teaches them how to pay attention to their name. And I saw that at a rodeo once. The clown actually had all these rescue dogs. I swear there was like 10 or 15 dogs. And he had them all on this big long barrel. And they would all sit or down. And he would call one dog out and all the other ones would stay. And the one would come out and do tricks and then send it back. And then another dog would come out. It was amazing. Those dogs were so well trained. So yeah, you can do stuff like that. I actually do a little bit of that with Jade. So like if there's a piece of food that falls and knowing that she's a resource guarder, I might, say, oh, Jade, laisse, which is leave it. Or, so I'll either tell her like, leave it or stay. Like, you stay right there. Let me pick this up so there's no fighting over it. So I've just kind of gotten in the habit of saying the dog's name and then what I want, mainly because I have 4 dogs. So yeah, it's I think going to be more about training you to just say your dog's name and then what you want. Yeah, baby wipe. I've used those too. Oh, Julie, that's a good idea. Just walk back and forth on the floor with towels. Yeah, I have done that. I mean, I do have a rug right inside the back door that they step on, but it doesn't get all the mud out, so I still have to wipe their feet. Cindy, you made it just in time for the drying. So hopefully you guys will be able to come next week, 7:30. But I'm going to remember that Thursday at 4:30. It looks like that turned out to be a good time. We had quite a few people here. Okay. Willow, I prefer using dog safe wipes. I use a brand called Earth Bath since it's meant to meet the dog's pH level. Yeah, and on the wipes that I use, they're not really baby wipes. They're oatmeal wipes that I get in the dog section. So, yeah, that's what I use. Okay, Cindy. Joey is a fussy eater. Started out with him having acid reflux. Now he eats well, but hates plates or bowls. That's okay because earlier, yeah, Julie, I know. 7:30 means 9:30 for you guys. That is late. Maybe I'll see if we can do 7. That's still 9, and then you guys could go an hour. I think they're trying to also accommodate the people that are Pacific time. Because when we do like this time, like they're still at work and stuff. So we're going to change it up every week though. So even if you miss a week, you'll still get some. It's not going to stay the same daytime all the time. Okay, let's see. So Cindy, I'm not a fan of using plates or bowls either, because like I said earlier, I feed Jade out of a snuffle mat. So because that gives her some enrichment, it turns it into a game. She has to use her nose and forage for the food. So if your vet says that Joey needs 3 small meals a day along with medication, and I am not a fan of free feeding. So this is what I would do. Well, this is what I have to do anyway. So take Joey and put Joey in a room behind a baby gate. So like Jay goes in the kitchen and there's a baby gate. So she doesn't come out until all the other dogs are done. She eats out of a snuffle mat now, so it slows her down. She has to use her nose, and it turned it into a game. And then your other dog can eat out of the bowl or whatever. And after 15 minutes, then the food comes up. So if your other dog doesn't eat the food that you put down, then you pick it up and they don't get it till lunch or dinner. So yeah, I don't like free feeding anyway. Just for that reason, if I did that, Jade would eat everybody's food and she would be huge. So I have to do scheduled feeding and supervised feeding and stuff like that. Let's see. Also, his inside recall isn't good. So one game that I talked about earlier is doing things like throw a treat down the hall, let Joey go get it, and when he's coming back to you to get another treat, click. So as soon as he picks up the toy and then turns and starts to come back, click, and then have him come all the way to you to get the treat, and then throw another treat. And then he goes back, runs out and gets it. As soon as he turns around to come back to you, click, comes all the way to you, gets the treat, throw another one. So you can basically have him running down the hall over and over and over to get treats. And so he gets to go out, get a treat. He comes back and gets another treat. Then he goes out and gets a treat and comes back. When he turns to come back every single time, then you can start to say, come. So as soon as he starts to turn and come back to you, say, Joey, come. And then when he starts to come, click, and when he gets to your treat. So outside, you could do that with a leash or a long line, but inside, if he has a really bad recall inside, I would have him drag a leash or put a leash on him and practice. But just turning that, like if you just happen to toss a treat down the hall and he got to run and get it, and then he came back like, oh, you just threw a treat. Will you throw me another one? Sure. Throw another treat. So it teaches him this game. It's like I run out, I get a treat, and then I'm going to come back and I get another treat. So turning it into a game like that, I think would really help. Hi, Anita. I actually have your thing right here from last week. Yeah, I mean, as far as the day and time, we are trying to make it fair for everybody and include more people. Even though I love my Wednesday night regulars, they're trying to get more people involved. So we're just kind of switching it up every week. So, okay, so Cindy, yeah, if you have a gate in the kitchen, then I would feed Joey in the kitchen behind the gate. And then, and why can I not remember your other dog's name? I remember Joey. As soon as is it Pepper? Is Pepper your other one? As soon as you type it, I'm going to say, oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, let your other dog eat on the other side of the gate, and then whatever he doesn't eat, pick up. Because that's going to get your other one on a schedule too, so that he'll learn, if I don't eat in this 15 minutes, my food goes away and I don't get it until dinner. So it gets them on a schedule as well. So, let's see, Willow. How would I get my dog to eat her breakfast since she's eating it at night and then eating her dinner right after? So first, are you just leaving it out for her? So you're just leaving the food out and she's not eating it till dinner. So I would do the same thing. And I do this with every board and train that comes to my house. I put their food down and they get 15 minutes to eat. And a lot of times when they first get to my house, they're like, oh, what are the other dogs doing? What are they eating? And they don't want to eat their own food. I pick it up and they don't get it until lunch or dinner, depending on their age. And it usually, I promise you, your dogs will not let themselves starve. So it usually takes about 1 to 2 days. And after that, they're like, oh, I better eat, because if I don't, then I don't get another chance till dinner. So it gets them on a schedule. It gives them that structure and predictability that they need. That's what I would do. So if she doesn't eat her breakfast, then she gets it for dinner. So then she's not getting her breakfast and then her dinner. So just give her the one meal, pick it up, and then put it down for dinner, and then don't give her anything else until breakfast the next day. If she doesn't want it, then she gets that for dinner. So if she wants to eat twice a day, some dogs just eat once a day. My dogs would die if I did that. They have to eat twice a day. But yeah, she'll learn that she eats at this time and this time, and this is how long she gets. And then if she doesn't eat it, it's going to go away. That's what I would do, is get her on a schedule. No, just leaving the food down to free feed. I wouldn't do that. Especially, oh, I was right, Pepper. Especially since you have a resource garter. I wouldn't leave food down. So Cindy, he's too smart. He sees the harness or leash and runs the other way. When my husband is home, he hops on the ottoman for him to put the leash on him. Huh, interesting. So does he not like walks? Is that why he's running away? He doesn't want to go on a walk? You could do the same thing where you condition the harness equals treat. They both go behind your back. Harness equals treat. Leash equals treat. And then you take harness and lure their head through and then take it off. So you go in this really slow shaping order and get them used to it. Also, if you chase your dog, then it becomes a game. And so it's if I run away, mom will chase me, and I love the chase game. So if your dog runs away, it's okay, fine, we just won't go. And then you go sit down and do something else. And then see if your dog comes back. See if he comes back to be oh, well, I really want to go for a walk. So I'm going to come back and let's put the harness and the leash on. Because if it's a pattern that he's learned, he's going to keep doing it, and it's going to be reinforcing and fun. So make sure you're not chasing. And again, you can use the treats to lure, to make that positive association with the harness and the leash. Okay, let's see. Willow, my dachshund free feeds, but is on different food. Would I just pick up her food dish, or would I say leave it? I would pick it up. So since you have a resource garter, I would not free feed your dachshund. I would do meals at the same time, separate them since they're on different food. You could teach Gertie to leave it, but I guarantee that the minute that you're not looking, she's going to probably try and eat your dachshund's food. So because when I have board and trains, I have puppies that are on different food. Then I have to feed Jade in a totally separate room with her snuffle mat. Then I feed the puppies in a different space because they're on puppy food. And then I feed mine. And then whoever doesn't eat, all the bowls get picked up. So I don't leave any food out, any bowls out. They all get picked up. And then they all get fed again at dinner. And it really only takes 2 days for the new dog to realize, oh, this is when we eat. And if I don't eat, it gets taken away. So yes, I would just start feeding your dachshund meals and not free feed. So Cindy, the issue is if he won't eat, bile will come up. Yeah, I'm not sure. You might want to ask your vet on that. I don't know enough about acid reflux to know if you could use toppers. So I know that Pupford sells the food toppers. So if you could do some kind of a topper on your dog's food, to see if it makes it more palatable, or if you can use yogurt or egg or something like that and mix it in with the food to see if that makes it so that your dog wants to eat it. But I would definitely ask your vet that question. Cindy, he plays me. Yes, he absolutely does. And he knows it, and he knows that he can get away with it, and that if he runs away, that you're going to chase him, and it's a game. So you just have to not play the game and just say, okay, fine. If you don't want to go for a walk, we won't. And you sit down and start reading a magazine or read the paper or do something and let him know, like, I'm not going to chase you. If you want to go for a walk, you got to come get your leash on, and then we'll go. I see that a lot. Dogs are very, very, very smart. And I get it, because my dog loves one of my training partners that I train with. It irritates me because I am with Jade so much and I do so much training with her, but I swear she works better with Siri. My friend's name is Siri. It's not like the phone Siri. In fact, I can't swear at the phone Siri anymore, because then I feel like I'm swearing at my friend. So yeah, Jade will work better for her sometimes, but it's because she's not around all the time, and Jade sees her once a week, and then it's really fun and it's really novel. So yeah, if your husband isn't home a lot, that's why. It's kind of like seeing, your favorite uncle that you only get to see once a year, and it's a lot of fun. So it's kind of the same thing. But I feel you. I go through the same thing with my dogs. Yep, okay, no walk. Yep, that works. Willow, when it comes to a schedule, could I do the snuffle mat for breakfast or dinner and then let her eat dinner or breakfast in her bowl? Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes I do that too. Like if I don't have time to wait for Jade to do a 9-minute snuffle mat, I'll just hurry into a bowl. But yeah, she gets at least one meal and a snuffle mat. You could absolutely do that. Okay. Well, that turned out to be like perfect timing. So let's do a drawing. We'll see how Jade's feeling tonight. I'm going to mix all these up. We'll see who wins a free bag of training treats tonight. I'm going to let you guys try to see this. Jade, pick it up. Oh, good job. Brian, I call you Chaz. Brian Chaz. Did you see that? How she picked out? She's getting better. She's only doing like one name now. Okay, Brian, you win. CHWASZ. I do abbreviation. From Illinois. So, Brian, you are the winner of the treats tonight. So I will, the drill. You're going to do hello@pupford.com and tell them what kind you want. And I will email them as well. So yeah, Cindy, I don't know what to tell you. Like if he turns the snuffle mat upside down and wants to play with it, you might take his food and mix it with peanut butter and put it in a Kong and freeze it. You might, if you have a dog like that, you might have to just get creative and figure out different ways to feed him. As far as the snuffle mat, I usually wash him like once a week. So I'll throw it in with my laundry or when I do the dish towels or something like that. I'll mat as well. So yeah, like once a week. So Anita, I don't think I did ask a long time ago and I didn't really get an answer. So I think they're only going to do the treats, but you do get to pick what kind of treats. So you can say salmon or rabbit or beef or something like that. So yeah, for right now it's still just treats. I know that sometimes Natalie will do like games during the day and like ask questions and stuff, and Occasionally she's done that for different, like for yak chews or bully sticks or something like that. So like I would watch for some of her live games and stuff like that. Oh, Brian, Jade must really like you. Second, third time in a row. Hey, you guys saw it was fair and square. Actually, Brian's won twice, but Renee, his wife, has won once. So that might seem like 3 times. But yeah, today sometimes she pulls out like 3 or 4, and then I just grab one. But yeah, she pulled out one. Let's see, Willow, could I possibly use chews for training? I mean, you could, but chews take a lot longer to consume. So if you did like one sit and then you gave your dog a bully stick that's going to take 10 minutes, then it's going to prolong training. But what I would do is get the chew item that your dog likes and break it into little pieces, like little teeny pieces that maybe aren't going to take so long, or work on chaining things together. So it's like you're going to do a sit, come, touch, watch. And when you can do like all 4 of those things, then I'm going to give you a bully stick. So you could do things like that. So yeah, you can use anything for a reward. You just want to kind of, like when I'm doing a long settle or a long downstay with Jade, that's when I give her a chew item, like a yak chew or a bully stick, because I want something that's going to last a long time. So yeah, you absolutely can, but just kind of keep in mind that then it's going to take longer for your dog to get through it. Okay, well, thanks for joining. I'm really excited how many people came tonight. And if Kathy's still on, so Pupford has asked Caitlin to do a live Q&A. Caitlin works with me in Utah in my dog training business. And so she's going to be doing a live Q&A at some point. You guys will love her. She's really cute and bubbly. And so, yeah, you can look for her sometime. She just texted me today, but I haven't been able to get a hold of her to see like when she's doing it. So thanks for coming out. Next week, stay tuned for the time. I may try to do it at like 7 or even 6:30. For the Pacific people, maybe I'll do it at 7. And then at least you guys can stay on till like 9. But I get it. Like, it doesn't matter which time we do it. Somebody's not going to be able to do it. So I think that's why we're just going to rotate it. So at least 2 out of the 4, you'll be able to do. The central and mountain people have it easy because it's usually in a time slot where it's easier for us than too early or too late. So, okay. Oh, one more question. Anita, I started with bells for potty training, but she jumps on the door to come back in. I got more potty bells and now have them outside too. How can I retrain her to use them to come back in? I would do it the same way. So ring the bells for her to go out and then go out with her. And then when she comes up to the door, say, you want to come back in? Touch. And then have her touch your hand behind the potty bells. And then when she rings the potty bells, then open the door and let her come back in. So I would do the exact same thing that you did to have her go out, but then name it something else. Like, do you want to go? Like, are you ready to come back in? Touch. So again, your hand is behind the bell, ring the bell, and then come in. So that's what I would do. All right. Thanks so much, guys, and have a great week and weekend, and I will see you next week.